Alright guys, so this video was kind of a fun one that me and Matt had talked about after our Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong video we had done. And Matt, you want to walk them through this? This was your idea.
Sure. You and I have been talking a little bit about new fighting games coming up, been a lot of platformers and such. And I think you and I are both long-term fans of the Capcom Versus series. You know, going all the way back to like X-Men versus Street Fighter, all the Marvel crossovers, even things like Tatsunoko and SNK, and you know, through like kind of the spiritual successor for Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. And we talked about like what other companies could there be that we could see Capcom do a crossover with that had enough interesting IPs that would fit into something like that to do a 3v3 type fighting game, and had characters that were from a diverse set in terms of like not just move set where you could have like very serious characters to kind of like the joke characters that we become accustomed to into something like the Capcom Versus series. So after some brainstorming, we landed on Hasbro. So we decided we might do a wish list if we were to do a Hasbro versus Capcom 3v3 fighting game.
Yeah. Now, this game... Now, I think Hasbro is under Paramount, if I'm not mistaken. So it would have to be like Capcom and Paramount would have to come to a agreement, if I think that's right. But basically, I think this would be fun, and I know what you're saying. Oh, well, this game would be stupid. And I'm like, guys, do you know what's on the Capcom side in their video game repertoire? This is kind of perfect.
Yes, yeah, I think we got some characters that could fit both. So then we kind of gave each other the idea of like, we did a 40-person base roster with 20 from each company, and then a couple DLCs for each for 44. But yeah, you're correct. In terms of like what Capcom has, from very serious characters to very goofy joke characters, Hasbro actually has like a very good IP set to mirror that, if you will, in a fighting game.
Yeah. So I guess like the idea for the game would be that maybe have it, and this would be kind of like obviously Transformers is the big thing for Hasbro. I think like the this is my idea for how the story behind the game is that maybe have what's his name from Mega Man, Wily.
Dr. Wily?
Yeah, Wily. Basically, he's found a way to like go through universes, and he's stolen the Allspark. He's stolen like the Matrix of Leadership, and like tapping into the power of the Matrix of Leadership that he's stolen. He's basically caused the multiple universes to like merge into one Earth, kind of like the Capcom versus Marvel game, but you know, better.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds very good. That's roughly what I was thinking too, because yes, Transformers is their biggest property, I would say, so they would be at the focal point of it, and we can go from there. I did have some other characters that I built around a multiversal threat type of thing, so you know, we can go over that as we get to it, but I think you have a very good idea there.
Yeah, I would also say I got an idea for like to go in the vein of Marvel vs. Capcom, like an endgame boss. I have an idea of who basically the guy you're going to throw your controller at.
I had one too. Save it for the end, you think, or do you want to throw it out there now?
Let's do it now. Who's your controller breaking boss?
All right, so I had to go with my passion, which is always giant monsters. I wanted somebody who's just straight up evil, and also had a relatively diverse move set. So I went with Metlar from the Inhumanoids, kind of a deep cut from the Hasbro side, but I think it'd be a really fun final boss, like to fight him in his lair from the old Inhumanoids cartoon from the 80s, probably before most people who are going to listen to this were born. But check it out, super fun series.
Yeah, my pick is Unicron.
Very good pick as well.
And I had the idea of like you fight him on multiple stages. Like one, you fight on him, and you have to fight like the Sharkticons or like the bacteria, the microbacteria that live inside of him. Then you go into him. You have to fight Galvatron as a boss fight, and then at the final boss, he transforms. You have to like fight him like how you fought Galactus in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh, okay, I like that. That is a good plan. That's a better plan than what I had. I like that.
No, yours is good too.
Yeah, I was thinking more of Metlar being like an Onslaught from what was he in Marvel vs. Street Fighter? Maybe I think he's at the end of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But yeah, those are good ideas. Ready to do some roster picks?
Yeah. By all means, you first.
All right. You want to do Hasbro or Capcom?
Let's go Hasbro first.
All right. So Hasbro, I sectioned mine off into kind of subcategories. So I'll start with the most well-known one, and these will probably be the most obvious picks. I did try to make picks based off of their popularity, how well-known they are, but also movesets, as far as like what can be creative and fun, and not doubling up the movesets for too many characters. So if some characters were too similar, like they kind of got booted out, even though I wanted both in there. But starting with Transformers, I think they got to have 3 reps, and I think the 3 reps are very obvious: Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee.
That's my thought too. I would have like maybe a fourth, because you'd have to have like, I think the thought process 2 Autobot, 2 Decepticon in the main roster. Okay. So I would have either those 3, but also either Soundwave or Starscream on the main roster.
Also, very good picks. Shockwave was another one I considered, but I went with these 3. Also, I think all 3 of them have plenty of old skins you could go with. You could do like the Bayformers. You could do from different iterations of the cartoons to put them in there. You could do they all, at least Prime and Megatron, have like their Optimus Primal versions, you know, so you could do those too. So I think that those characters would be fun. Yeah.
I also would say if you had Starscream in the roster, you could have Skywarp and Thundercracker as alternate skins.
Yes, another good idea.
Yeah. So, I guess like next one would be G.I. Joe, right?
Yes. So G.I. Joe, I went with some people that I'm sure everybody's going to pick, and at least one I think is going to be a little surprising for people. So you got to have Snake Eyes, right?
Yes.
For sure. Snake Eyes is in, no question about it. The next one I bounced around with a little bit. I gave them 3, by the way. I went with Scarlet. I'm a big Scarlet fan. Plus, I thought with her crossbow, we could do some interesting gameplay with that. And then for the third one, I actually went with a slightly non-traditional choice because of gameplay type, and went with Serpentor. I was leaning Cobra Commander, but then I thought Serpentor's got a better look to him in terms of like the cape and the big hood behind him with the Cobra hood. He can throw those snakes that he takes out of his neck. He also can incorporate that sort of like hover craft he has. And he's also like a little bit more of a fighter than Cobra Commander is in terms of physical combat.
I like that. I like that idea. See, if I was going to go with G.I. Joe, it would be Duke, Snake Eyes, because you got to have Snake Eyes in here, and Cobra Commander. Although I am tempted to have Scarlet on this roster too, but maybe as DLC. But for Cobra Commander, I think like as long as if you're kind of invoking like the Cobra Commander from like the IDW comics, or like even now at the Image books, where he is a fighter and you are like I think he could be a cool mixture of like he could pull out the gun, have the sword, have like the cutlass on his side, even like call down like airstrikes on people. I don't know.
I could see it. Like I said, I had him in it first and just kind of talked myself into Serpentor.
No. Serpentor is a good idea. I think like that would be kind of like sometimes you need a roster to have a character go, oh, that's a deep cut.
Yes, yeah, I have a couple of those in here because I think it's fun sometimes to do that.
Yeah. So now I guess like the next most popular. What do you say we talk about like Power Rangers?
Absolutely, it's what I got up next. So Power Rangers, I went with 3, but I did put a different one in DLC, so I'll end up with 4 eventually. So first one, a bit controversial, maybe, but I did feel like I had to put Tommy Oliver in there as the Green Ranger. Plenty of old skins. I know it's hard without Jason David Frank having voiced him forever, but you know, the other part of me says, did we just never use Tommy Oliver again? You know, so I do think if we got a good voice actor, Tommy Oliver could fit in there. his play style for all of the Rangers, all the Rangers, their play style reflect a lot of their Battle for the Grid, since it's basically a spiritual continuation of the Capcom versus series anyway. So right off the bat, we're going with him. My second pick, I actually went with Billy Cranston as the Blue Ranger for a couple different reasons. For one, his weapon set would lend itself to being able to be differentiated from Tommy to a good extent. For two, David Yost has always been very involved in the franchise and wants to do more. He's still beloved by the fan base. I think you might be able to get him to do a voice for something like this, and he would be up for it. And he got kind of passed over in other games like Battle for the Grid. So I think it was time to throw a little love and support back in for Billy Cranston, David Yost, Blue Ranger. My third pick is the one that's a little bit out there even more. And I'm going to have a couple picks that fit this mold. So with the Transformers playing a big role, they're going to be larger characters, larger grappler type characters. So I thought I need a couple others from different franchises to help balance out so the game isn't just flat out dominated by the Transformers. So in this case, I went with Dragon Armor Trini, who can fit that mold and be like closer to a Transformer in size. Again, if you look at her Battle for the Grid gameplay, I feel like it would match well with what a Transformers gameplay would be like in this game.
I dig that. And you said you had 4, right?
I do. One's a DLC. Do you want me to save it for the DLC?
Yeah, save it for the DLC.
Okay.
My picks for Power Rangers, I'm going to have 3 Power Rangers, 1 villain. I think you got to have Green Ranger here. I would also say that I would have Zach, the Black Ranger. Walter Jones is another beloved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Kimberly.
I had Kimberly at first, and again, Amy Jo Johnson, well loved, still active in the franchise, doing comics. In my case, it was a combination of needing the bigger player, hence Trini, Dragon Armor Trini, and also I had not just Scarlet, but a couple other Arrow users, so it kind of bumped her off the list for me.
Yeah. And my final pick for Power Rangers characters on this main roster is Rita.
Good pick as like the villain of the group. I like that pick.
Yeah, basically, I think her gameplay would be a lot like Shang Tsung or Quan Chi from Mortal Kombat, where it's a lot of summoning, a lot of she could summon a putty to fight for her.
Yes.
Yeah, like a lot of spells, a spellcaster in a way.
Yeah, well, again, like her Battle for the Grid playstyle would fit well.
Yeah, and also to have her Boom Studios costume as an alternate skin would be awesome.
Would be awesome, for sure.
Yeah. So now, I guess, I have a feeling that our next pick is, it's Turtle time.
No, Turtles are Nickelodeon.
Oh, I thought they were, oh, that's right. For some reason I thought they were under Hasbro as well, my bad.
No, but another big franchise, and for this one, I will admit, I had my daughters help me out, and we're going with My Little Pony.
Okay. I got a few picks.
Fun comes in. I know when this came up, you and I talked about this, we kind of felt like, you know what, it's a popular franchise, and they have like these cutesy characters in other Capcom versus games, so I feel like probably appropriate, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's appropriate. They still have a fan base, although, albeit it's kind of broken apart after, shall we say, some dark clouds. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Okay, fair enough. Yup. So this is the franchise I'm least familiar with, but my daughters were a big help. They kind of grew up with this franchise. So in this case, we went with Twilight Sparkle, who would be kind of like a speedster fighter and could also fly. As the first pick, I did 3 for this again as well. The second one is Pinkie Pie, and in this case, she works almost as like a Deadpool type of fourth wall breaker, so I do think she could be a fun character. You know, like giving nods and winks to the audience, or doing something like grabbing the life bar as a weapon in the middle of a fight. You know, those type of things for gameplay and fun. And this goes back to something you had mentioned before. They felt very strongly that Queen Chrysalis should be the villain, and she has powers which include shape-shifting, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, and something called love draining. But I thought very Shang Tsung in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
Where she could like drain the love of somebody else for their power. She looks kind of like a emaciated zombie unicorn anyway. She's like a weird.
She's basically
and shapeshifting, of course, screams. Shang Tsung.
She's basically like a bug version of. She's like a horse version of Devora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you have picks for that franchise or no? Or?
I do. My picks. It's 3 picks. You gotta have Twilight. Twilight is kind of the face of the franchise right there, so you have to have her. Pinkie Pie also, because again, all the fun you could have with that character in the moveset.
Yeah. And
Rainbow Dash is your speedster character.
Okay, it makes more sense with the speedster than Twilight Sparkle, but I guess. Yeah, so all good picks. Like I said, it's not a franchise I know a ton about, but I know it's popular enough to put in here, and I do think we can get fun gameplay from it.
Yeah. So what's next on the list?
Alright, so next on the list, I'm going with a huge franchise for Hasbro that's had some ups and downs lately. Ups in terms of their last movie I thought was fantastic, downs in terms of all the stuff going on in Wizards of the Coast, but Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So I took a different approach here with Dungeons and Dragons that will be reflected in one of the Capcom picks as well. So at first I thought about putting well-known characters, like named characters from the Dungeons and Dragons series into this game, but the more I thought about it, the fun of Dungeons and Dragons is having your own character and sort of building them up. So as opposed to like picking an actual character, I went with just 3 play styles that I thought it would be fun if in this game they were able to make alternate skins for the characters, have slightly different weapons and looks to them, so that you would have some ability to pick your own character in that respect. So I went with 3 here, and I went with the Barbarian, who would basically be a bruiser with an axe type of character, sort of a relatively balanced fighter. A Wizard, who would be obviously a magic user and use mystical attacks far range, but maybe not like a lot of durability. And lastly, a Rogue, who in the D&D universe is kind of like an assassin ninja type character, so it would have some similarities to, say, like Snake Eyes gameplay, but without the firearms mixed into it.
That's really good. See, I only have 1 pick for Dungeons and Dragons. I do have a DLC idea,
Okay.
but I really have the Owlbear.
The Owlbear's a great pick. I thought strongly about the Owlbear for the reason I mentioned earlier about having bigger characters to be in Transformers. I have no problem with Owlbear being needed.
Yeah, the Owlbear being like a tank, kind of just big bruiser kind of fighter. And also, like, when you look at the Owlbear, that's instantly Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't know how many they would allow. I mean, your ideas are really good, don't get me wrong, but I think like the idea that if they were to do Dungeons and Dragons in this game, they would have like named characters or like known entities. I would even say as like maybe a boss character you'd have to fight is Tiamat, the 5-headed dragon.
Yes, Tiamat came to mind for a boss for me as well. But I do like the Owlbear. I think it's a great choice. I have no problem with it. Also, I personally love Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves. It's kind of an underrated film, I think, in some cases. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. But yeah, I do love that pick as well.
Yeah. All right. So what's next on the franchise list?
All right. So sort of to round out Hasbro, I went with an overarching games and toys subcategory. So I've got 5 characters in here that come from either a board game Hasbro owns or is a famous toy Hasbro owns. And I tried to come up with, you're going to get a good amount of joke characters in this one, but I think for a game like this, you need some joke characters since we have so many serious characters, kind of aside from the ponies so far. But first up, maybe their most iconic game character, Uncle Pennybags, who is the billionaire from Monopoly. I think it'd be great if his main attacks incorporated things like the thimble and the race card pieces from the board game. Additionally, I think his specials could be things like go to jail, go directly to jail, and he like puts you in a cage type of thing. Could be a really fun character there.
I think it'd be kind of fun, like a final smash kind of move. Like he knocks you onto the board, and like the final move is go to jail.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to have go to jail there somewhere, right? It's got to be part of the moveset. Second character, and I really struggled, honestly, to make this one fit, but to find out an appropriate sort of old name to give her. And I went with Miss S for Scarlet from Clue. So I just went with Miss S to differentiate from Scarlet from G.I. Joe. But this is that femme fatale sort of character. She could use like semi-seductive moves, and then of course to get close to you, and all of her attacks would be like the candlestick, the rope, the dagger, the different weapons from Clue. And also because like myself and our good friend Andres Perez are suckers for noir movies, I needed a femme fatale.
You see, I was thinking Clue too, but with Miss White, the maid, because no one's going to suspect the maid.
I like it.
Yeah, it would be the same kind of, like, you have all the murder weapons she would use, and her final move, I think her, like, how I do her final move is, like, they play a guessing game of how she killed the other character.
That is good, actually, and it takes away from this double Scarlet, so I kind of like yours better.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No. I was going to say, the next pick I had, arguably the most classic toy of all time, Mr. Potato Head. And the moveset could be a lot of fun. He can, like, rearrange his body parts to attack you, take things off, put different faces on. I was thinking of kind of like Aramingo from the Marvel vs. Capcom series a little bit with this guy. What do you think?
I think that's a good comparison. I think, like, what I would do as for Mr. Potato Head is have him be a mascot for all the other board games that we can't put in because they don't have anything to go with them. So, like, Mr. Potato Head would have, like, special moves where he'd, like, he'd blow a whistle and then go fire, and you just see the cannons from Battleship, like, fire at the other opponent.
That is actually pretty cool. I had thought for the more famous games that don't have characters would be stages. So, like, a Battleship stage, or a Risk stage, or a Candyland stage would be kind of fun.
Oh, that's really good too. I really I like that a little more actually than what I had. I was just like I had the thought of like incorporating them as like moveset for someone, and I thought Potato Head.
I do like that too, though. It's fun.
Yeah, Potato Head, because it's like he's kind of like the first major toy Hasbro had. So
yes,
I would even have like I think Slinky is under. Hasbro, right? The Slinky?
Not sure about that one. We could check, but Slinky could almost work like Piranha Plant type of thing.
Well, I was thinking like it's in Potato Head's moveset where you can just use a Slinky to like jump over his opponent and get behind him.
But that would be fun. See, I do think Potato Head could be fun, right? No matter how it breaks down.
Yeah. I would even have like when he gets punched and like he takes enough damage, like pieces of him fall off, and like to get health back, you have to put him back together.
Yes. Yeah, he just lent himself to such a fun playset.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah.
The next character I had is none other than Stretch Armstrong. I think he'd just be a fun character to put in there. I can imagine, in terms of gameplay, something similar to Dalsim from Street Fighter, because he's got the stretch moves, obviously, but build around it a little more, where he can like do a grapple stretch, things like that. Plus, it could be fun, like you can punch him in the face, and his whole head goes flying backwards, but still stays connected to the body and snaps back, type of thing. What do you think of Stretch Armstrong?
I think that's a great one. Again, use him like Dalsim. Although I think you couldn't have him and Dalsim in the same game because I think it'd be
Correct.
redundant. But I think he'd be a great Dalsim stand-in.
Yes, that's kind of what I went for with this one.
Yeah, so I do like it. I also think it would be kind of funny. Like obviously this would be probably T at most. I don't think this would not be an M-rated game, obviously. But I think it'd be funny if like you punched him and like instead of like blood, it's the corn syrup spilling out of him.
That would be pretty funny. I also think you could give Stretch a Dalsim skin.
Yeah.
Just if you wanted to like make the acknowledgement of like the comparison jokiness between the two, maybe.
Yeah, like maybe even like when you do the game's over and like the character just stands there, you could have him like pretend to do the Dalsim meditation move.
Yes. I had one other character from a large game that actually fits the proposed storyline well. So this is why he made it in as my last baseline character, and that's Jace Valorin from Magic the Gathering. He's the leader of the Gatewatch, and they kind of protect the multiverse. He'd be more kind of like a balanced fighter, similar to like a Tommy Oliver's character.
Okay.
But I thought in terms of the story, that would be good. And Magic is too big of a franchise not have some kind of representation.
Yeah. Some characters I would throw in for the Hasbro side is Action Man.
He made it to my final cuts for he got bounced, but yes, he's very close for me.
Rom.
Another one that made it to my final counts and just got bounced because I love Rom.
Yeah, so Action Man, Rom. I would even say Baron Karza from Micronauts.
Another good pick, yes.
Yeah. And I would also say one of the characters from Mask.
Mask I came very close to as well. I just couldn't figure out a fun playset that didn't over-rely on the cards.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
As for, like, other, like, joke characters, again, Moneybags would be here. I would, like I said, Miss White. I would even have, I think this is under Hasbro, because it would just be so hilarious to see. Like, it's so dumb, but it would make so much fun. The Hungry Hippos.
I thought about the Hungry Hippos, actually. I really did. I ended up thinking of them more as a stage where, like, if you get knocked too far back, a hippo kind of clamps down on you. But yes, I thought about a hippo here as well.
Yeah, and you could just have it's one hippo, and the alternate skins are the other colors.
Exactly, yes.
And
yes.
Yeah, and the final move can just be them, like, you're being hit by balls all over, and they're all just like, gulp, and then you just get eaten.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were close for me, too.
Yeah.
Then I went with two DLC characters. First, going back to Power Rangers, and again, having a larger character to put in there, I went with Goldar. I mean, the classic villain, muscle villain. In Battle for the Grid, he's large, not like necessarily Transformers large, but up there he has a fun playset. The entire fan base knows him. What's your thoughts on Goldar?
I really like it. I was close to putting Goldar on my main roster. What's your other DLC out of curiosity?
Okay, so I'm going to screw this name up. This is another one that my girls helped me out with. But from Duel Masters, Shobu Kirafuda. But basically, you can play like Pokemon Trainer, because I did watch some Duel Masters with them, where he brings out like different monsters to actually do the fighting for him, and it's like the monsters, the kaiju doing the fighting, not the character. He's just kind of in the background. But I've always liked Pokemon Trainer's gameplay for Smash, so I thought this could be a similar character here.
Okay, cool. My picks for DLC, I've got a few.
Sure.
Strahd from Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, good one.
He's a cool vampire type character. The other one I had was Princess Luna from My Little Pony, because that character's a cult favorite, and that will get yeah. So Princess Luna. The other was another Power Ranger, but not from Mighty Morphin era. Cam, the Green Samurai Ranger.
Good pick. Good pick.
And Scarlet as the other one. So those are my DLCs.
Those are good DLCs.
Yeah. Thank you.
Want to move on to Capcom?
Yeah, totally. I guess we could just start with Street Fighter first.
Yeah, you know, we're going to get the big two out of the way. Ryu and Chun-Li, right? You can't have a Capcom versus game without Ryu and Chun-Li.
Yeah.
Right?
So with those two out of the way, my picks for the other two Street Fighter characters, because I'd have four. The other two would be Guile and Bison.
Good picks. They were on my short list too. I ended up taking three, and before I go any further, I would say though, I would definitely give Ryu and Chun-Li their Ranger skins here too, from like Battle for the Grid or Legacy Wars, right? I mean, that should be easy enough to work out for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that'll be all their skins for them. I ended up going with a newcomer, and that was Marissa from Street Fighter 6. Again, to be that kind of bigger grappler type character to help balance out the Transformers. Plus, like, I know they tend to throw a couple newer characters in there to help promote games as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see like probably a Street Fighter 6 character as DLC. My I would say those two, and those would work. Who do you got for Darkstalkers?
Good question. So the Darkstalkers one, I ended up going with 4 Darkstalkers.
Me too.
Okay, good. So right off the bat, Morgan's in, right? I mean, she's been in every.
Yeah.
Okay, Morgan's in. No
Morgan's the face of Darkstalkers. You have to have her.
Yeah. The next one is where I went like a little bit maybe controversial in that I'm replacing a long-standing character from the series. I went with John Talbane. I thought about just putting Felicia in there again, but we've seen Felicia a lot, and John Talbane's like the werewolf. I'm a big werewolf fan. I thought their gameplay styles were too similar, and I thought it was time John got some love, honestly.
Oh yeah, John is on my list too.
Oh, good. Next up, going back to needing, again, a few bigger characters, I went with Anakaris, the mummy, the big hulking mummy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, he's been in Marvel vs. Capcom games before, but I'd love to see him squaring off with like an Optimus Prime or somebody. And for the last one, another kind of like a newer, not as well-known pick, but I think that's got a lot of love in the Darkstalkers fan base, Baby Bonnie Hood, the serial killer.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. My picks are Talbane and Morgan. You gotta have them. Yep. Victor, the Frankenstein monster.
He came very close for me, yes.
Yeah.
Good pick. Yep.
And Rico, the creature from the Black Lagoon creature.
Another very good pick. I thought strongly about him too.
Yeah,
all,
and honestly, I would love to have if this game could do like dialogue intros like Mortal Kombat. I would love to reference the the god awful Darkstalkers TV show, and have someone go, "You're very attractive for a fish man."
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be a good one. So I guess like the next big game is Resident Evil. Who do you got there?
Okay, Resident Evil. I went with 2. First off, it's long past time we got Leon Kennedy in a fighting game like this. What do you think?
Yeah, Leon's on my... I've got 3 Resident Evil characters.
Okay, Leon, I'd say he's definitely in. Leon needs to be in one. He's super popular. We've got most of the other main characters in a Capcom fighting. Leon's in. For the other one, I went with a villain. I went with Carl Heisenberg, the kind of hammer-wielding dark cowboy character.
Yeah, from Village.
Yes.
That's a good one. I have someone in mind, too, from Village.
All right, that's mine, too. Who do you got?
Demetrescu.
Oh, good pick.
My 3 picks are Leon, Demetrescu, and Ada.
Ada's a very good pick, actually.
Yeah, no disrespect to Jill or Chris, but they've been in all the other games.
They've been in them, yeah. That's why I want to see some different characters. Totally agree.
Even I didn't want to pick Wesker or Nemesis for the same reason.
I totally agree. Not that I don't love the characters, but that's why I didn't pick them. They've been in the other ones. I felt like it was time to get some new Resident Evil blood in there.
Yeah.
All right. Next, I did go Mega Man. Do you have any Mega Man characters?
I have 3.
I have 3 as well.
Yeah.
So I went OG Mega Man because he's only been in, I think, 1?
Yeah, he's only been in Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah, so I went with him. I went with Roll just because she's a ton of fun to play in the other games. And then Sigma. So not like a lot of deep cuts, but I just want to see Sigma fighting Megatron. I feel like would be awesome.
That would be really awesome. I almost put him on there, but mine are Mega Man, classic Mega Man,
cool.
Proto Man.
Yeah, I almost put Proto Man on there. I Roll edged him out for me, but almost, yes.
Proto Man, and for the final one, my final one was Guts Man.
Oh, that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah. It was either going to be Guts Man or Cut Man. It was going to be one of the Robot Masters.
Okay, good picks.
Yeah.
Right,
it's just been so long since we've seen Proto Man, and also there's a band called the Proto Men, which is I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're like a rock opera band who do songs about Mega Man.
No, I don't, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You really need to hear their songs. It's literally like a rock opera about Mega Man, the first Mega Man game.
I definitely have to check that out. I'll definitely check it out. I didn't have multiple people from any other franchise to fill out the roster. It's just kind of had like from other games.
I got a few if you want to hear them, like just for random games.
Sure, let's hear yours, and I'll give you mine.
Okay. Frank West.
Good pick. Yep.
I know he's been in a lot of games, but Frank is always a favorite.
Yes, for sure.
Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins.
Classic. Yep.
Who else did I have on this list? I did bring in Mike Hagar, even though, yes, he has been in a lot of the Marvel vs. Capcom games. He's always a fan favorite, so Mike Hagar.
Mike Hagar made mine as well, because he's been in a lot, but again, the big character. Also, he's modeled after one of my all-time favorite UFC fighters, Don Fry, so he's in for me.
Yeah. I also had... oh, no, I forgot. It blanked on me. The, oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Like, the last character I had, I blanked on it.
Let me go through mine. Maybe it'll pick it up or you can remember.
Yeah.
So I had Mike Hagar from Final Fight. I already said why, so I won't repeat it. I went with Beautiful Joe, basically because the Power Rangers are in here. He's sort of like a riff on that whole thing. So I thought he would be fun to make it in. Plus, he usually has pretty fun gameplay set. Next, I had to go with Dante from Devil May Cry, right? He's another poster boy.
Oh my god, now I remember what it was. It wasn't Dante, it was Virgil.
Virgil came very close for me too, but I ended up going Dante. But yes, you got to have at least one Devil May Cry fighter in there, right?
Right.
Another one who I just fit well, we haven't seen him since, I think it was 2, Captain Commando from the classic beat-em-up game.
Yeah, totally. That's a good one.
Love to see him mix up with Rangers and Snake Eyes and stuff. Sort of to mirror those Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering type fighters. I had to go Monster Hunter. I mean, I just love Monster Hunter as a game. Another one where you can kind of build the character out some. He or she, because they do that, I think, in the last one too, because you can make your own, was in the terrible Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and deserves better, right?
Yeah, totally.
So Monster Hunter made it in. Next, Asura from Asura's Wrath, a really fun game from a while ago.
Asura is on my DLC.
Oh, okay. So we both agree Asura's in. My next two are kind of deep cuts, but I think fun ones. First would be the Exo Fighter from Exo Primal, sort of like a Doomslayer type game.
Yeah.
First-person shooter, so this could be like a nice Doomslayer, Halo type stand-in. And lastly, Miss America herself, Tiffany Lords from Rival Schools.
That's a great one.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought Tiffany, like, it needs somebody from Rival Schools, and I thought Tiffany could use some love here. Plus, like, the Super America background and things that she usually does, and she falls in love with somebody, and whatever game she's in, or even if she's in the background, she's like in love with Deadpool. I thought how fun it would be to see her with Snake Eyes and Tommy Oliver and some of these other characters, just like in her endings and stuff. So as a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
And then my two DLCs. First was Street Fighter, a character I have wanted since freaking X-Men versus Street Fighter, to see him go toe-to-toe with Wolverine, Vega.
That's a great one. Vega is a good one.
And my last one, time to bring back the fan favorite joke character, the world's worst lawyer, Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix is on my DLC too.
All right, so we agree with that. All right, man. So go ahead and finish off your other characters.
My last ones are, I would also have another Resident Evil character. It would be Mr. X, aka the Tyrant from the first game.
Oh, okay, good one. Good one.
The other would be Akuma. You need to have him in a game, even if he is DLC, so Akuma.
Yeah.
The Monster Hunter. And I would also say, I almost put another character, but then I remembered that's not under Capcom. I was almost going to put Regina from Dino Crisis, but then I remembered that's not Capcom.
Yeah, I was too, and then when I looked it up, it really is not under that, unfortunately, because I really wanted Dino Crisis. But seems like a lot of our picks lined up here, or at least like we didn't have any like major objections to any of the picks that we had.
No, I think we did. I think we had the same wavelength on a lot of them.
Yes, yeah. I'm glad we were both kind of Darkstalkers heavy, because I feel like Darkstalkers doesn't get enough love. I love that game series. And listen, from hopefully our lips to Capcom's freaking ears, because I'm sure both they and Hasbro could use a big hit, and I think this has the opportunity to do it, you know? And clearly this isn't like we heard a rumor or anything. We're just like doing this for fun. But I would play the heck out of this game. What about you?
I would absolutely play it. It's fun enough. Capcom has been known to do like fun things like this, and Hasbro I think could use it, because after seeing like, they'd probably look at like Nicktoons and like Multiverses and be like, we can do that too.
No, I agree, but I think this route would be a little bit better than to do another platformer. I think it would be like, oh, another Smash clone, you know, that's already got a lot going on for
Yeah.
it. But a 3v3 would be something a little bit different, and be harkened back to the games that people did love for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, as usual, I'm sure like anybody who listens to this, we'd love to see some of the picks that we didn't think about in the comments, right?
Absolutely. Like, you guys tell us in the comments below, if there was a Capcom versus Hasbro game, please let us know in the comments below. What characters would you have? What kind of stages would you have? Please just let us know in the comments below.
All right, that's it for me, Tyler. Thank you for doing this. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.